Hello, everyone. I'm ready to start the webinar. I'm Alain. Welcome to everybody. Can someone confirm me in Slack that everything is working? You get my voice and you get my video as well. It would be nice to be sure that everything is working perfectly. So, can anyone? Okay, fantastic. So we are going to start. Most of the webinar will be with sharing my screen. Once again, welcome to everybody. What I have planned to do is to start with the starting code you get, and explain you everything to do and everything that I do to complete the project. As you'll see, it's in fact it's a very quick project. You won't have to. It won't take you very much time as soon. It will be. It won't take you a lot of time as soon as you have understood everything what is needed to do. So let's go. I will cut the video and share my screen now. Well, hi again. I'm sorry about that. Computer was a bit overloaded and I had to restart. So I am back and we'll start again. Let me restart. My code editor, and we'll be able to run everything again. So let's share. Okay, here I am. It's gone again. Okay, so you should see my screen. You should see my screen on the video now, and everything should be a bit more quicker. So first thing I have to say, don't be worried about everything that has been done. You will see, in fact, it's very, very quick. No, I want that on another screen to be able to read your question at the same time. So you see here everything. The first thing I have to say as a reviewer is this is the README you get when you start the project. It will give you every instruction you need. But when you submit your project, as a reviewer, I don't want to see this README. I want to see your README. And I will provide you a link for a good template for READMEs at the end when I have finished with the code. But remember, I don't want to see this README in your submission. I want to see a README that you have written, telling what the project is, giving the link to the documentation of Jasmine is a good idea, telling what you have learned, and things like that. You don't need to write pages and pages, but I want to read your README. Okay? So then we go. No, not this one. Then we go to the first code you get. Once again, the first thing I will tell you as a reviewer is, you see those comments with to do. I don't want to see them in your code. Once again, I want to read your comment. So you need, well, it's a very good idea, and in fact, you need to remove this comment when you have done the test and replace them by what you have actually written as code, not to do telling that you need to read to write a test. Okay, so we go there and we see the first test, which is already written. Okay, This test just, it's very simple. We get a function, and we want all feed to be defined. All feed is the array containing the feed in the code of the application. Let's open it. Let's open it. Up. So the all field array is there. So the first test, which is already written, just needs that your all feed array is defined, and that it contains at least one feed with its name and its URL. So its length needs not to be 0. If it's not 0, it will be greater than 0. So you are sure that you have at least one feed in your application. Okay, that's what this first test do. Now we need to write a test with that loops. I insist on that loops through each feed. Let's insist a bit, which loops on each feed, and we want to check that the URL is defined, and that the URL is not empty. And once again, each time read very carefully what's in the to do, because it tells you all, in fact. So you need that you want that the URL is defined and that the URL is not empty. So let's get there and check and take what to do. That's the code I've already written, and let's paste this there. Let's copy it here, and no, I did the wrong thing. Copier. So this is an easy test. What I'm doing nearly everything everything just like it's written, in fact. I use a for-off loop, which is ES6, but it's one of the most concise way to write it. You can also use a for-off, a for-in loop if you prefer, or you can use the for each method, and you can write it with a very classic for loop. But well, this way it will be more concise with the for-off loop, and let's take benefit of ES6 JavaScript. So for all feed of all for each feed of all feed, I expect that feed.url. So we take each object of the all field array, and all field.url is what we want to test. We expect it to be defined, and we want it to be not empty. So we check that the URL, the feed.url.length is not 0. If it's not 0, if the URL is defined, and if its length is not 0, that says that it's not empty. And to have a comprehensive test here, we need to test these two conditions: to be defined and the length not to be 0, to be sure that it's not empty. Okay? Then the second test is nearly as easy. In fact, you have to do exactly the same thing, but not for the URL, but for the name. So it's for this property of each object in all field. So it's very easy. You'll see it's exactly the same test, in fact. It's exactly the same test, in fact, but with just oops. Here I am. exactly the same test, but I'm checking the name instead of the URL. So I check that the name is defined. So I expect feed.name to be defined. And then I'm checking the length. So I'm checking name.length not to be 0 to be sure that the name is not empty. See, these two tests are very, very easy, in fact. Here we are arriving to the menu test. This one is a bit more tricky. You have several things to do, so you are expected to write a test that ensures that the menu element is hidden by default, and so they give you some hints here, telling you that you need to check the HTML and the hiding showing of the menu and the CSS to see how the hiding showing of the menu element is done. So if we go to the HTML to understand a bit better what we are doing, let's go there. So we see that body has a class of menu hidden at the beginning. So that's what we need to check, that the menu is effectively hidden by default at the start of the application. And then let's check how it's done. No, sorry. But we function load feed. We'll speak about the function load feed after that. And what happens each time we click on the menu? Let's start the app. I want to. Here I am. Okay. Okay, the app started. I can go back to it. So in fact, you see here we have an event handler on the click event. The click event on menu icon, the class, the element menu icon, and we toggle the class menu icon each time there is a click on the menu icon. So if we go back here, first thing we need to do is to check that the menu icon by default is hidden. And let's put the test in this place. So this is the test we need to write. It's hidden by default. And what we are doing here is we are checking that body has class menu hidden. And this is very important, the has class. But we want to check that the body has the class of menu hidden, and not that the class of body is menu hidden. It's very different. The big difference is that if you check that this class is menu hidden, it will work. You will think your test is working. But if in future development of the application, someone adds class to body for any reason, because you want some different change things in CSS about body, or any reason you can think to need a new class for body. if you put here something like the class to be menu hidden, the test will fail because when you will check the class, all the class, you will get all the class. So you will get the new class and the class menu hidden in string. So the class your test will be false. So you need to use as class. I encourage you to check how as class works, but this is clearly a requirement. If you don't use as class, your project won't pass because of the reason I was explaining. If in the future the new class is added to body, the test will fail. Okay, so you need to use ASCII. If you ASCII is for jQuery. If you want pure JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript, you need to use two things. You need to use class list, class list method, and contains method, and not so class list and not you once again you have to check that the class contains menu hidden because there might be another class which is there, and if you don't use class list and contains, your test will fail once again, and your project will fail too. Okay, the sound is bad. Sorry about that. I try to improve. Oh, sorry about that. Connection is good. Let me tell me, can you, the audio is very poor. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what to do. Let me check if I can do something. No, no. So stop it and start again. Is it better? Or is it better now? Good. I don't know. And there, I just disconnect and reconnect. No better. It doesn't be better. It well because I try everything.